glasses. Hello. 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 How's it going? Happy Saturday, I assume? It must be. The cat's staring at me. Hi, cat. Um, hello. User WP1TD8UL70. um, what a world we live in now, where, hello, um, where things are what they are. Man, fucking yesterday, Donald Trump's meeting with Zoran Mamdani was fucking crazy. Man, all those fucking things, memes, like get a man who looks at you like Donald Trump looks at Zoran Mamdani, you know. So, sorry, it's a big thing. But here's the thing about analytics. I don't care very much about them, right? And I never, like, I've never put too much stock in them, right? Obviously I care a little bit. Like, I don't want to put a million hours into something that no one's going to watch. No one's going to read, whatever. But at the same time, analytics are just like, they just make people upset, right? And there was some appeal to just like throwing something out to the ether and like, did people read it? I hope so. But like, not knowing is honestly nice. Which is to say, I have turned off all email tracking on the newsletter. So I will not know if people open it. I will not know anything about how people interact with it. I think it's weird that emails have tracking pixels and shit to like track stuff like that. I don't like it. And I don't have to put it in mine, so I'm not fucking gonna. Did my camera fall over? What the fuck? Better. And so, you know, I'm trying to, you know, as much as possible with all of this, you know, practice what I preach. Is that the right direction? It's the wrong direction. Because, you know, change starts with me or whatever. Yeah, I've been thinking about this. I don't actually, like, I had this idea a while ago and then I unhad it. And then like rehad it and then unhad it, and there you are. Back to your old biscuit goblin self. You know, I think I started thinking about this in earnest, I think, over the summer. About this being the direction that I go. And by the time I went on this, like I knew that I wanted to do it like I started thinking about it while doing sort of the final weeks of prep for the Odyssey adventure thing, whatever. But I couldn't like mentally do both of those things, right? Like I couldn't focus on that and also figure out all of the logistics. And so basically, but as soon as that happened, you know, I basically had like a week and a half before I left for a while. And in that time, I was like, okay, great, I'm going to do button down. And then I started writing the script that you just heard, and it went through a lot of tweaking and iteration. And ultimately, a lot of it was like cutting it down, because it was originally going to be like 20 something minutes. And I was like, that is just too much for this, especially in the back half. Like there was just like a bunch of extra thoughts. Like none of this needs to be here. So I simplified that to, place where there's only a couple of mistakes instead of more mistakes. Also, I'm so mad about my hair. Yeah, I could feel my lack of comfort with my old setup, like, because I was back to using the teleprompter I used to use, the whatever. This is fine. But like in terms of like the, working on my, like doing it by myself and handling all of that, is like I had just lost sort of the ability to do that really cleanly. Although part of the problem was that I had to make the light really bright for whatever reason, and the screen on the phone I was using the teleprompter with was not very bright, so I had to like actively, like active look in order to read it, which was not great, and was stressful because no cuts, so it was like really, I had to put a little more whatever into it than I might have otherwise. So I'd use this, in the future, use this phone with a brighter screen, which my standard phone does. I just, had a phone that I was using for this, and it was fine in the past, and I guess it's not fine anymore. It's been a long time, right? I haven't used that specific phone for that purpose in 2.5 years. And honestly, the screen might have just fucking dimmed in that time. There's an extremely real possibility of that. I do think the setup is interesting. Like, I literally had the idea for that, or like the realization of how I could do that look, because it's not a green screen, right? Like, it is just this. It is a black screen, but figure out how to sort of cleanly, automatically cut myself out of it so it looks good. Because like the adventure's in camera, right? Like that the presentation is live, so I can interact with it and point to it, and like it has sort of the interesting like you get the focus shift as I move forward and backwards within the image. Obviously it's a much more attractive version of this idea. But that one also took 3 people and a whole fuck ton of logistical prep and complexity. And this one did not do that. It just took me and a few hours of automatic, magic masking and whatever. So that's good. As far as, newsletter writing goes, I'm working on the first issue. And that first issue is a review of Lost in Translation, called The Friends We Made Just for a Day. And I've written a lot of the stuff that's not about Lost in Translation. And I'm currently trying to figure out how to segue into talking about Lost in Translation, because it's relevant. Like, I saw Lost in Translation a few months before doing this. I spent a month in Asia, right? A few months before for the first time. And then it was playing at MoMA on 35mm, and I was like, oh, definitely got to see that. But also, I'm 3 3 weeks back from this trip, and on this trip, I spent a few days like just hanging out with people who I'd never met before, who I will never see again. And I knew that seeing that movie a second time in that context, I was like, oh, I'm going to spend the entire fucking movie thinking about the day I spent with, one person or another. And I was right. I did. But it made me think a lot about that idea, and so that's what it's about. But also Lost in Translation. But mostly me. Which, the Week I Review story from the very beginning, it's about a thing, but it's mostly about me. And that's not changing. The last week, as I have put in so many emails to Button Down support, and I've put so many emails into Button Down support being like, hey, how does this work? How do I make this work? How do I do this? How do I do this? Because, for example, the tagging, the system whereby you can say, oh, I only want to read reviews of movies. I only want to read reviews of books or both, or whatever. I want everything. That is not like a default mechanism. Like, it's a thing that you can do, but it is not. It's not a default. And so I like those checkboxes do something other than the thing that I thought they would do. Man, I have 0 concurrent viewers. That's sad. According to this. Hello. Thank you. We had a lovely, man, those photos are so good. Like the photo Will sent me of like me, Danielle, and her, like, I genuinely love that photo so much. Like, it's like what an amazing time. So thank you again for inviting us. I was talking about it earlier today. It's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to, but yeah, I like making the page look the way, like using the font and the coloration and all of that stuff, like, was a whole fucking process, right? Like, you're not supposed to have, by default, it is not set up to give you that level of control. And I spent hours trying to figure out like what CSS triggers did what to make it look exactly the way I wanted it to. Because one of the things that is good and bad about Button Down is they are very, as they say, we're very opinionated on what an email archive should look like. Like, it is an email service that has archives. It is not a blog that can send emails the way that like Ghost is a blog service that can send emails. This is an email service that has an archive because that makes sense to have an archive. Excuse me. And so I, but I want it to look good. The thing it doesn't have that I wish it had was like the ability to select tags. But maybe they'll add that at some point. That would be a nice feature. I mean, they're constantly updating it. Like, since I've started doing it, they've done several updates, and like I like had email back and forths with the guy who runs it about like, hey, how does this work? How should this work? How can this work? Blah blah blah. So it's good. But I, they seem like good people, and that matters to me, right? I signed up. I recently switched hosting providers to a socialist co-op. And that was a fucking nightmare. in a lot of ways. Like, but at the same time, man, hello. So I joined a socialist co-op, whatever. I got my first one. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Classic, right? Some things never change. A lot of things never change. I'm exactly the same person I've been, more or less. But yeah, I don't know. Whatever I was talking about, I agree with. Wicked for Good is not. It is that name is a lie. You really are. You really are, and I'm sure you'll win every single issue. I will. So actually, here's the thing. I'll ask this now, and maybe I'll ask it again later if more people show up. So, my idea, like, so there's sort of, I see sort of three ways to do that on YouTube. The fourth way, I'm just not going to do, right? Which would be like do a fully produced version of it, of every single script, and just like have the newsletter version and then have the video version. And I'm just not going to do that. Not a chance in hell. The second, so the three versions are, I do an audio recording of all of them, and then I can just put them on the channel. Here's an audio recording. I could do it as a video podcast in the sense that it would look like this, and I'm reading it, but it is, so it's not like produced, but it is, if someone just wants to look at me saying the words, that I will be here, right? Like I do this setup, that's fine. I theoretically can do that. The third option is basically every month and a half, 2 months. I don't know how frequent these are going to be. Like, let's be honest, they could be every week for a little while. They will not stay every week. Maybe they'll be more than, like, I don't know, right? And it might be the kind of thing where it's like, oh, I have a movie I want to talk about, and then it's like, oh, you know what? I've been listening to some songs, and I'm just going to do like a short, like, here's some songs I like, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, because it's writing, it doesn't have to be a big thing every time. And so that's sort of the idea. That's sort of the point. I mean, I guess it's like for the same reason that people have like their main YouTube videos and they have shorts, right? Like I can sort of do both of those things. And so we'll see. But in any case, have like every, let's say 4 issues, I do a live stream where I read the last 4, and then I break those up, and then I release them as video podcast episodes. And then, you know, as I said, every once in a while, if I have an idea for like a more fully produced video, great, I'll do that. But that's like a separate thought and conversation and whatever. But for like generally speaking, okay, I write a review, send it an email, putting it on this channel looks like one of those things. What do people think about those ideas? Would they be interested in any of them? In obviously each one is like they compound, right? But yeah, what do you think? I'm gonna go get some water, so you can just tell me what you think while I go get some water. Guys, I got a banana instead of instead of water. Whoops. Okay, so video version like this, or without me talking to you, and then whatever. Okay, that's that. I mean, the difference between 1 and 2 is not nothing, but I would probably batch them also just to do it, but then it is more straightforward than having to like set this whole thing up and worry about timing. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna try it, right? That's what all of this is I will try it. I was joking. I did get a banana, which I didn't plan to, but I also did get water. This is water from Taipei, I think. I'm pretty sure it's from Taipei. So yeah, I mean, it's Taipei or Hong Kong. Those are definitely Chinese characters. We would all die so hard, so bad. We would have all been dead forever. Water gets a... The fact that water has any rep other than holy shit, the best thing, crazy. Because that's just what it is. It's just water's the best. It's the fucking best. So bananas are pretty great too. Hold on. Fortunately, no one. I already did that video where I like deep throated a banana, so I don't have to worry about it. About anyone being like, it's true. Everything we are made up of water. I am mostly water or something. I never really understood how that works. I won't chew in the mic. The thing that makes me fucking furious about data centers, as it relates to water. So I learned this while reading Karen Howe's Empire of AI, phenomenal book, enraging. Every single book I read about big tech, and I read a lot of books about big tech, just enraging. This makes me so fucking angry. But like I couldn't even finish the book about Instagram, because it just made me so mad. I was just like, oh, I hate these people so fucking much. I can't even deal with them. But anyway, so I kind of assumed that it's like, yeah, obviously they're taking water or whatever, but it's like they must be taking wastewater, right? Or like gray water. They must have a way that they can cool their systems with gray water. And it's like, no, they have to use potable water because the gray water is gunky, whatever. It gets caught in the pipes and then it fails. And it's like, okay, so yeah, you are stopping drinking water in places with drought conditions. You are evil people who should not be allowed to exist. And yeah, that like learning that, it's like, yeah, it's, you know, it's not just that they need water, which is whatever, right? It's that they need drinking water. Like they need the clean stuff. And it's like, no, they should have to fucking make pure water purifiers and take the gray water and purify it and run it through the thing and then put it back in the communities. Like that, like that's the kind of shit that it's like, you know, if you know, you people are spending billions of fucking dollars. Like I have absolutely become substantially more radicalized in the last like year. In a lot of my politics. And this sort of thing is really a big part of it. Like the way that like technology is like contorting in on itself, because a handful of men ran out of other things to make infinite money on. Disgusting. Not the most attractive way to eat a banana. In practice, OpenAI probably will fail. Like, everyone talks about bailouts and everything, but like, the company is burning billions of dollars a year. Like, even if the US like gave them $20 billion, it wouldn't matter because they would still run out of money. Like, it's, you know, I read Ed Zitron's newsletter. He's one of the people I actually pay. I do pay one of the few podcasts. One of the newsletters I actually do pay for. And his writing can be somewhat repetitive, and his vibe is occasionally off-putting. But at the same time, it's like everything he says seems so obviously true about like the dementedness of the markets, and like where's the fucking money, guys? Like, you say Sam Altman agreed to spend $300 billion. Where are his $300 billion, guys? Where is this money coming from? Hey, there's industry is making zero fucking money. What the fuck are we talking about? What is this? Right? And like, you know, it's sort of like I've been reading Gary Marcus, you know, and he's just like mad, understandably, because it's like, you know, Jan LeCun, who's now formerly AI head at Facebook, was, you know, is getting all of this credit for, you know, being like, oh, LLMs won't get us to AGI. And Gary Marcus has been actually talking about that forever. You know, he's been making that argument for an extraordinarily long time, and Jan LeCun like was like, Gary Marcus is an idiot, and now Jan LeCun's getting all the credit for having been like, for as though he had been right the whole time, and it's like he just fucking wasn't. And that kind of shit makes me very irritated. I think the most interesting AI related thing I've seen recently was a conversation. So Cory Doctorow is on his book tour for Enshittification, and he and Ed Zitron did a conversation together talking about AI and Enshittification and whatever. Because Enshittification and the rot economy are like the same thing, right? Like, Enshittification is sort of the action of the rot economy, which is Ed Zitron's word for capitalism, really. But late capitalism and whatever. I talked about this in my autism adventure video. But it's really interesting to see the two of them, right? I actually think the Steph Sterling comparison is an interesting one. Like, you know, Ed is so much more aggressive. It's funny that he's a PR guy because he feels much less sort of put together. Whereas like Cory Doctorow has been speaking, he's been an advocate. He knows how to present ideas in incredibly compelling ways. Like, he is extremely good at words. I mean, he's a novelist, right? Like, he's a novelist and a blogger and an activist, and like, words are his thing. And so when he talks, he has like these ideas and like these, he like sound bites that he uses and he keeps coming back to. And if you watch a lot of interviews, he says the same things over and over again, right? He talks about, Canada putting tariffs on like reciprocal tariffs on the US is like punching yourself in the face and hoping your downstairs neighbor says ouch, right? Things like that. He just says them over and over and over again. And it's like, it's a good point, right? The thing that he said that I found really in that interview, I think specifically that he said that I found extremely compelling. And it's like, oh, I wish this was an argument I had been able to make back when I like argued with libertarian people, it's been a while since I've done that. But the argument is, even the most libertarian person believes that there should be a mechanism by which contracts are enforced. And so even the most libertarian person must believe that the government is as small as the largest corporation that is allowed. Because a government that is smaller than the largest corporation cannot enforce contracts. So if you want a small government, Google needs to be small. Facebook needs to be small. You cannot have a government that is smaller and have anything function, right? A society cannot function in that context, which is like such a fascinating and just like so simple, but extremely clever way of understanding it. And yeah, I mean, machine learning and whatever, there's all kinds of ways that it can be used. But anyway, so Cory Doctorow has written a book that's coming out next year. I'm sure I will read it, enjoy it, and write a newsletter article about it. Newsletter issue. I haven't figured out the word I'm going to use. Edition, probably. Issue. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Email. Where it's called The Reverse Centaur's Guide to Life After AI. And he thinks that there's a very real chance that all of this ends with zero foundation models. That like, OpenAI, Anthropic both just die. Seems more likely than not. Safe superintelligence, whatever Mira Murati's doing, fail. Fine. The Project 2027 guys just announced that like, hey, it's not happening in 2027. Sorry, we were wrong. Fucking ridiculous. And then, Facebook, whatever, all of these companies, Microsoft just decide that like, even though they've put everything into them, they actually don't care that much. They will, and so in his his expectation is that, yeah, there could well be zero. He thinks there might be one or two, but there will certainly not be 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever. There will just be, and what will happen, and this is one of those things where it's like the difference in argumentation between Cory Doctorow and Ed Zitron becomes very, very clear in this, where, Ed Zitron makes this point that there is nothing on the other side. Like building data centers does nothing. And he is, and everyone is like, oh, it's the .com bubble. It's, whatever. And Cory Doctorow says it's like the .com bubble. But the difference is that what he thinks is going to happen is that suddenly there will be a lot of GPUs on the market that become accessible to people making small things. That like, he is a genuinely fascinating example. There was a justice advocacy, like an Innocence Project type organization that used machine learning to find patterns in the way police reports based on false confessions were written, because there were patterns between the ways that like, police would describe the things were like forced confessions. And they ran it through and they found a bunch of cases and case files that they had not, picked up. And it's like, great. They're going to look into those as potential things. That's an amazing use for machine learning, for pattern recognition, for, I assume, sentiment analysis. Like, full stop. That's awesome, right? I wish there was more stuff like that. And so to him, but like, so the doctor thing is good and it's not, right? Like, it's good if it works, but it's bad if it doesn't work and doctors rely on it. And it seems like doctors are relying on it and it doesn't work, right? So the problem, yes, it's being seen as something more than what it is. Like, it's being treated as digital god or whatever. People assume that what it says is true, including doctors. And that's the problem. If it was seen as, like, if people understood it as, tools are great, not replacements. Absolutely. Anyone who has seen Predator Badlands absolutely knows that's the case. I mean, sentiment analysis and whatever, like, LLMs are much better at that than what existed before. So again, yeah, Willow, I thought you'd like that. It's a really fun movie. Man, that leg fight, so fucking good. I laughed. I said nice, unpromptedly at least twice. Had a really good time. Anyway, so to finish so Cory Doctorow sees it as like, okay, the people who can make stuff like that will get access to very, very cheap and very powerful GPUs. Whereas Zitron is thinking about it purely as a matter of scale. And like, there is nothing, like, I don't trust LLMs, right? Like, I have used them. I use them every once in a while for very specific, like, usually things I don't care very much about, or just like, hey, what was the thing in this context? And then I check and see if it's correct and fine. I don't do this very often, but every few weeks, I'll ask a bot. If a bot goes away, I will not care at all. A lot of people will care, but will they care enough that they would have to actually pay the cost of running the bot? Because these bots are so hilariously expensive to run. And I think the number of people who are willing to pay $20 a month, $200 a month, whatever, to use bot is close to zero in terms of like percentage, right? Some people will. Some people do. But if the free tier just went away, have fun. If the free tier just went away, would people really use it? I don't think so. And that's the death of the service, because it needs to make money, and it isn't making money, and there's no clear way it'll make money. Like, again, to quote Ed Zitron, this is not supposed to be an AI bubble discussion, but fuck it, here we are. Perplexity made $20,000 in ad revenue last year. That's not a lot of revenue. And Perplexity could it's big enough that could definitely make more than that if there was a larger market than that. The problem with an LLM is you can't force it to say the thing you want it to say in a way that you want it to say it, right? They're non-deterministic. Like by design, you cannot make an LLM, you cannot be 100% sure that an LLM will say the thing you want it to say about the product that you want it to say it about in the context that you want it to say it. There will be people who sign up for ads on ChatGPT and whatever else, and within a week, there will be someone like the fucking adpocalypse YouTube thing will look hilarious in context of like ChatGPT being like, oh, do you want to hang yourself? Here, buy this rope from Amazon. like that's what we're gonna get to. And you know, there's like this ad was paid for by Amazon. It's like, they're not gonna want that. And I mean, you know, that sort of thing, it's gonna happen. Absolutely, it's gonna happen. And it'll be funny to watch it happen, but it's not good. It's not gonna be good. It's gonna be bad. In fact, very bad. So, you know, good times. Had by all. So, ow. I shouldn't have hurt. I'm gonna throw away this banana, and by that I mean I'm gonna compost it. So I'll be back in a second. Yeah, I'll be back in a sec. Hello. No, I'm just throwing away the banana.
Okay, no problem. You don't have to.
There's not very many people, so I don't think it's gonna go very long.
I don't know. Take all the time. Take all the time you need. And then paint my nail.
Okay. I'm just thinking there's kind of 4 people. So.
That's fine.
I'm back. Ugh. But yeah, I'm looking forward, you know, back to the newsletter. She is. It's funny. I never have any sense of how much people can hear of anything. Fortunately, I didn't say how I really feel about people. But like I missed the thing that I missed. Said is like I missed being able to just like put my thoughts together in a way that hopefully is interesting to people. Like in a way that like, you know, be able to come up with whatever like turns of phrase that I think are funny or whatever. Like honestly, my favorite thing that I say in that announcement video is shame 3, because it turns the 2 into like a double entendre, right? Like it goes from being you know, shame as well to shame number 2. And I think that's a funny recontextualization of that word in that context. And so like that's the sort of thing that I like doing, and I like being able to do. And it's also something that works differently in writing than it does speaking, right? Because like puns function differently if you write them out. And so like in that case, right, I would write TOO, or I did write TOO. But you don't know that, right? So you don't know what I'm saying in retrospect. And so there, like I was talking about, and I think I'm actually just going to cut this. I might end up cutting this paragraph entirely, talking about how like the sites, like the cinematic like locations and sites, sites have been largely destroyed or replaced in Hong Kong. Like there's not like a lot of the places that people think of when they like think of Hong Kong from the old action movies or whatever don't exist anymore. But you could say sites and also sites, sights, right? They don't really mean like they mean different things. It's not like a funny thing, but it's like trying to figure out linguistically like which one goes where, like what makes this a more compelling sentence. And these are questions that I can have again, and I like having those dialogues because I like language. I really love writing. And it's funny for me to like read things I've written and like hear things because I'm a lot more articulate in writing and obviously right. But it's interesting to be like, oh yeah, wow, good for me for saying that, for thinking that, whatever. Like that's a good thought, and that's a nice thing to feel about myself. When I'm feeling inarticulate or whatever. So yeah, that's nice. That's something that I get. What have I been? Let's talk about the movies I've seen recently. What have I seen recently? I saw a bunch of good movies. So Wicked for Good is not. Man, I have not felt so emotionally disconnected from a movie in so fucking long. It is crazy how little I felt watching that fucking movie. Which is a shame because I would have liked. I liked the first one. Yeah, it really is wicked for bad. Like there were some movies, whatever, 2 hours, 17 minutes. So let's say 2 hours and say 2 hours, 20 minutes of trailers or 20 minutes of credits, which is not correct, but it's not terribly wrong either. I don't watch trailers typically. The way I do trailers is I will watch the first 15 seconds of a trailer, and then if I'm like, this looks like something I'd see, I close my eyes. And if it's like, oh, I'm never going to see this, then I'll watch the trailer. Or if it's like, or sometimes like I see the first shot and I'm like, oh, this is, I know what this is. I'm not gonna, whatever. I actually really liked the last Hunger Games. The song and dance of whatever it's called, Songbird, snakes and songbirds. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I liked it though. I thought it was a really interesting twist. So I'm definitely open to more songbirds and snakes. I was close. So I'm definitely interested in that. Also went to the premiere of Patrick H. Williams's short film, The Dinner Plan. My cat is making an appearance. So just let her figure out where she wants to be. Hi, cat. Meow. All right. She's actually very small. She's just really fluffy. Meow. She's just very very fluffy. And down you go. Yeah, I mean, she got fatter and then she got less fat, and but she's very hairy, especially because now it's starting to get cold. So she's really just like the fur is starting to fluff up, um, pretty hard, um, very fluffy. So I saw Patrick H. Williams' um short film, and I liked it. It was a good time. It was cool to be at the premiere. There's a lot of people there involved. I think the editor sat behind me. I was sitting next to like the jet lag guys, which was also fun. Um, had a good Q&A with Griffin Newman, blank check / also the star of the dinner plane. John Hodgman was great. Like whatever, it was a good time. The movie itself visually is less compelling than every other part of it. Like it's just all wide angle in a way that I don't think entirely works. Like it feels cheap, and I don't actually think it was cheap. Like, or I don't think it was as cheap as the cinematography made it look. Like the lighting is just like not quite where you want. It's not, there's like a sort of washed out color grade that I don't really think did it any favors. And so that was a little disappointing. Cause it just made it feel cheaper than it needed to. Like it felt in a lot of times like, oh, this is wide angle because they're in a confined space. And this is a cheap movie. Like this is a low budget movie. Not we're using a wide angle for like narrative reasons. Some of it definitely. Like the some of it is definitely on purpose, but some of it sure didn't feel on purpose. But I look forward to seeing what he does next, and I hope people watch it. Like I'm gonna watch it again. It's only 33 minutes, so it's like easy watch, fun watch. But yeah, definitely not a technical triumph from that perspective. What else? What else have I seen recently? I really liked The Running Man. Should I? Kirby Air Riders just came out. Danielle played the original a lot and liked it, so I feel like I should get that. So that can be like a household thing. The Running Man was good. Kneecap I liked a lot. I didn't know Kneecap was based on a true story or whatever, or is based on real people. I don't know if it's a true story, but like the real of the people is like, oh, that's cool as fuck. Predator Badlands, like that leg fight knocked it up half a star on Letterboxd for me, for fucking sure. And Kneecap, the credits, like the realization that, oh, these are real people or whatever, knocked that up to a 5 from like a 4.5, I think is sort of where I was feeling it. Rewatched Taxi Driver, the cat's coming back. But what was I? Very distracting. Be distracting for someone who does not get as easily distracted as I do. Don't show your butt to the camera. Rude. She does. She always wants attention. She doesn't need to be on top of the table to get attention. She does not need to be showing her butt to the camera to get attention. Yeah, Taxi Driver. I liked it. It was funny. Danielle had never seen it, and she did not like it because she was like, "Oh, is this why men are like that? Like why men feel like they have ownership and like whatever over women? Is this where it comes from?" And it's like, no, but it certainly didn't help. Um, people definitely took the wrong lesson from Taxi Driver. It's like not a fan, which is totally valid. Totally valid. Sentimental value is fucking incredible. Like I spent most of the year being like, yeah, The Monkey is still probably my number one of the year. And then I saw Sentimental Value, which is about as different from The Monkey as a movie can be in a lot of ways. And I was like, nope, that was fuck, that was good. On the note of The Monkey, like fucking Osgood Perkins already put out a new movie, Keeper. I liked it. Very weird. And I am happy for him that he just like keeps like it was like 10 months. It's like 10 months between his last 3 movies, which like literally he's pumping them out like babies. Just like one comes out, 10 months later, boom, another one. 10 months later, boom, another one. And hopefully in 10 months we'll get another one. He's just like, he's a good director, making good, interesting things. Like some of them hit really hard and some of them don't hit as hard. I didn't like The Keeper as much as I liked Longlegs or The Monkey, but I liked all of them to some degree. And like, you don't need like a perfect hit rate if you're making movies twice a year, right? I have a lot of feelings about Begonia because I have a lot of feelings about Save the Green Planet. It's funny, people are watching my review of Save the Green Planet again now that Begonia is out, which I didn't know until literally the day before I saw it that it was a remake of Save the Green Planet. And I was wondering how far in if I had not known that, how far in would I have gotten before I was like, oh shit, this is that I had heard that there was a remake. This is it. Got it. A lot of people have been doing, like someone said, I actually rewatched it. I was like, what did I think about that movie? I know what I thought about it, but like, what did I think specifically? The thing that actually made me rewatch it, and the thing that taught me that Begonia was is so I've gotten really into the Screen Drafts podcast, which is a great podcast. People making top 7, 11, 13, whatever lists of various subjects. The most recent one is the Paul Verhoeven mega draft, which is like they rank literally every single Paul Verhoeven movie, which it's like 6.5 hours long. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm excited. But they do all kinds of things. And in October they did Scream drafts, and they did best Korean horror films. And I had seen 6 of the 7, and all of the discards, like the things that almost made the list and didn't. The only movie I had not selected, the only movie that I had not heard of, is a more recent one. 6, 7. But like I heard that, and then they were talking about Begonia, and I was like, wait, what? That's what that is? Oh shit. And then I immediately bought a ticket for the next day. But first I watched my review, and I was like, let me just get back into the headspace of like this, back when I would like wear silly costumes. No, I have not. I don't think. Gene Wolfe. Did Gene Wolfe invent Pringles? The Melville of science fiction had a hand in bringing 1960s most technologically advanced potato chip into the world. That's fun. Here's the thing about science fiction and also fantasy. I cannot picture things in my head. And that makes sci-fi and fantasy far less compelling than it might otherwise be. And or I think the better is not even so much as less compelling, it's more confusing, because I can't like conceptual, like if they're talking about things, it's like, oh, and the blah blah over there and the thing with the here and blah blah, and like when I'm supposed to be able to keep like the space and the rules don't follow this, I just get really just like, nope, I don't get it. Like I've read a lot of sci-fi I really liked, but I generally speaking prefer, you know, to sort of standard fiction if I'm going to read standard fiction. But I mean, I recently read The Left Hand of Darkness, which great book, right? And you know, grounded sci-fi, like, you know, a book about people who find a, you know, like people who find digital god or whatever, and then like that world works for me better than like a world that is different in like a sci-fi way, right? Like Snow Crash was extraordinarily difficult. I didn't even finish Snow Crash, because like, or did I? I think I didn't, and then maybe I went back to it. I didn't, and then I went back to it. Yeah, it was a couple years ago, and it's just like I have no fucking clue what's going on for most of it, but like I should read Snow Crash, and so I did, right? And that's sort of what happens. But yeah. Right now I'm reading The Revisionaries by A.R. Moxon, who is, he's a writer. He has a newsletter that I read. It's very good. He is extremely smart, and extremely good at writing. And he talks a lot. I mean, he talks a lot about fascists and fascism and sort of the politics of right now, in ways that I think are very accurate, proper, like the things that I want people to say. You know, he talks a lot about how, you know, his politics are like his fundamental belief is that like humans are art, and, you know, every human has value, and like everything stems from that, and anyone who does not believe that has no place sort of in his coalition, right? Like the, you know, and the idea that politicians would be willing to, for example, throw trans people under the bus means that their political ideology is not based in care and is not based in humanity. That, you know, if you're willing to play games with anybody's like identity and willing to gamble, then you're just like not a good person fundamentally. Like you're just not good. And I don't know if I've always believed that. I feel like I've always believed a version of that, but not so clearly. I think the big thing that's changed is my feeling on what punishments should be. In the sense that like they're less like the thing that I want for people, and I think I might have actually said this the last time I did a live stream, because I think this was true a few months ago. I was thinking about it a few months ago, and I'm thinking about it now. There is, I just want these people to lose their power. Like, I don't need the people in this administration to die. I would like them all to be prosecuted for their crimes, tried, whatever. But I want them to be exiled more than I want them to be imprisoned, right? Like, I want them to lose all influence. I want them to become nothing. And then they can live in the society that is created by people who care. Like, that's what I want, right? Like, Donald Trump's an evil person. It's like fundamentally how he feels about Zoran Mamdani, very funny. But like fundamentally evil person. But at the same time, if you have a politics that is like humans are inherently valuable, then it becomes difficult to then argue that, all these people should be tried, right? All these people should be punished, whatever. But like saying that the best thing to do is to shoot them, those two things don't work together. Like you can't have it both ways. And I think that is true. And so I have sort of softened, I think, a little bit there. Because I want to have an ideology that is based in humanity, especially lately, right? Like that's what I was talking about in the video, that like I want to read more humans. I want to, like, I don't fucking care what a bot outputs. Like I genuinely, like I was interested in it 3 years ago or whatever. I had my fun with the bots, and then as time has gone on, I have become less and less interested and more aggressively disinterested. And what I want is human perspective. And I'm not seeking out the perspectives of people who radically disagree with me, right? Like I'm not looking for the perspective of transphobes. I don't care. I just don't care what they have to say. But like there is a wide tent of people who believe a lot of different things, and people who understand the world differently. And like, so within that, it's like, great, like help me understand the way you see the world, and then maybe that helps me understand how I see the world, right? That was always, but art has always been my hope here, right? Like, watch me try to understand this thing, this art, this experience, this whatever, and hopefully you can understand it better or differently because of that, because you took part in it. Like that's what the Week Air Review is about. It's what it will continue to be about. That's what all criticism should be based on, right? Like, and so I've just been trying more and more, reading more art criticism, more like people talk to see how people are meeting this moment in sort of in the way they think, and the way they talk, and the way they act, and all of that is I think really important. And I don't want to look back and be like, oh yeah, I was totally silent, right? That's another piece of this. And the non-essay section is like, every once in a while I'll probably write about the world as I understand it, right? Like that's what that's for, because I think that's important to do. I think it's important to speak about all of this, and to plant your flag, right? And be like, this is what matters. These are the people who matter. And I'm not willing to pretend, like I'm not willing to accept that some people are inferior by virtue of some immutable characteristic, which I'll admit I did not always think of transness as an immutable characteristic, right? And now I do, because it doesn't matter if it's anything else, right? And so yeah, I'm going to sign off. But I hope that you can join the Discord. It's still going. Join the newsletter. That first issue will be out sometime in the next week, whenever I have figured out how the fuck to talk about this stuff. Maybe I'll just spend the entire trip to see my family on Thanksgiving just writing this thing, and whatever. I'll figure it out. But it'll go and hopefully people enjoy it. I am looking forward to getting back into it. So thank you everybody for hanging out with me. We'll do this again sometime. Bye.